Welcome to another episode of My Wealth Journey. I am the hostess with the mostest, Jay Stevens, and I have the pleasure of being here today with Boyega and Les, two of the three founders of Yentl.com for our next installment of Everybody Knows Somebody Who Knows Somebody Who Knows Something About It. So today, the everybody is always y'all. The somebody is me. The other somebody, we have Yentl and Boyega, and the something about it is how to have a startup and how to get into this gig economy, which I am so excited about it. Like two dope brothers out here doing great things. So before we get started, y'all know I like to give you the context so you know what you're getting into. Yep. Every month, there are about 750,000, that's three zeros at the end of that, searches for templates and guidelines and guides in general. Simultaneously, we are moving to a gig economy. You know, people, especially millennials and Gen Z, we will drop a job with the quickness if it's not what we want. We like the gig economy. We like to be able to choose our own hours. And so the geniuses at Yentl figured out a way to combine these two areas together. They put together this company that allows you to find and sell templates, which built into that gig economy, but then also built into the need for us to standardize processes and not have to reinvent the wheel every time. You can go to their website right now and not only download templates, purchase them, but start making some money. You're welcome. I just gave y'all another side hustle for those of you that are listening. You can start making money right now by dropping whatever your template is. If somebody has a template on like how to get your twist out to behave, I would buy it because I'm not going to lie, the twist out did not cooperate today, but nonetheless, Black is beautiful. So we are going to get started as we always do. Waves high to everyone. Thank you all for joining us. And start with our very first question, the question that, you know, is in the title of the company. What is your wealth journey? What brought you to this point in life? How did you meet and how did you create Yentl? Put it all together for us.
Les, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start my story with what's relevant to Yentl because I'm the CTO of the company. So technology is my thing. And I've been into it for a long time. So before high school, I was tinkering with websites, mostly HTML at that time. That led me to get into a technology high school in my area. So I had a laptop, which was crazy at the time in school. So that was fun. But I've always had a background in tech. So the natural step for me to college was to study computer science. So I did that. And at that time, I met Boyega, and we've just been friends since then. So after college, we've remained friends and always kind of had a spirit of being entrepreneurial, but hadn't really, well, we've pursued other things, but this is a time for us to take another stab at it together. And I think, you know, we've kind of gotten to a point where we want to take that risk and go all in and really commit to something, something we believe in. And so here's Yentl, and we present to the world, and we're happy about it, and we're excited about it.
You're being so humble. Like, no, I just like tech, you know, no big deal. I did stuff with my friends. I love it. Okay, well, Boyega, give your side of this.
I think, you know, everything, you know, not to repeat what Les said, you know, my wealth journey, I'll go back to a young lad that grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Ironically, Les and I are both from Richmond, Virginia. We didn't know each other until we got to college, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, I mean, I grew up lower middle class in Richmond, Virginia, born to immigrant parents. So there's a kind of grind, a hustle. When we say the American dream, my parents lived it. And so for me, you know, being the youngest of four kids, there was a pressure on me to not make mistakes. So I would say my wealth journey was really centered around get this good job and accelerate, you know, excel in your career as much as possible. And so I'd probably say, you know, I graduated from UVA in 2011. And for the last decade or so, that's what I've been doing. I've been grinding, getting promoted, you know, increasing my salary, you know, doing that whole thing. But always in the back of my mind, I had this passion for entrepreneurship. It was always a thing. My parents owned businesses that were unsuccessful at certain points, but that idea of owning your own and really blowing the ceiling off of your capacity or your ability, I think was interesting. And so I actually looked at my career as my fallback plan. I was trying to go so fast so that when I do take the leap on entrepreneurship, I'd already set a floor for what my lifestyle would be. And so kind of throughout, coming up with ideas and pursuing some of them, they worked, they didn't work. I always had a full-time job. And really at this point, with Yensol, it's a project that Les and I have kind of embarked on and been extremely passionate about it. And this is the right one, right? This is the one that, I really do believe will establish wealth for us, Mark, our other co-founder. And so I think part of this conversation, eventually we'll probably talk about it. My wealth journey is very fascinating because I've worked so hard to get into a position, and then bought a house, bought a car, had a kid that's 10 weeks old as of Tuesday, and then I left my job.
Wait, and you and a wife in there. We're not going to skip past her.
But I mean, she gets all the credit because she gives the stability in the household. But but yeah, there's I think it's everybody's wealth journey is different. I think I took for the last 10 years the path most taken. And I think now it's the chance to roll the dice and yes, like I am very blessed to have a wife that has a very stable job and is very supportive of me taking this risk as well. So long-winded answer, I apologize, but
no, we like it. Trust me, it's motivation in there for people from both of y'all's perspectives. And we mentioned Mark, so Boyega mentioned Mark. Mark is also one of the co-founders. I'm going to be shady and be like, because he had a lot he had to do today, but I'm just kidding because Mark is good people. He's the homie.
I will defend Mark and say Mark is currently on a flight to my house right now.
Right.
So right. I will, he gets to meet his nephew. And
he's a good person. Okay. I'm just like, sir, it was called a calendar for a reason. Use it. So someone send him the template for managing your schedule. No, okay. No more jokes. No more jokes on him. For real. Like, he's a good human being. I don't want to throw him under the bus. Okay. So y'all are unique in that you met through school, through just life experiences. Where sometimes that does happen with startups in tech, like people meet at whatever these great universities are. That's why a lot of times people go to great universities like UVA to make the connections to start like planting those seeds. Plus, it's just fun to have somebody around for life experiences. But can you tell us what are some of those benefits and the challenges of working with your friends in building a business? It's one thing to say like we're going to plan a group trip because we all know that means only half people show up. But it's another thing to like expect people to show up, not just for a weekend on the beach, but for like a business for your livelihood.
So as a testament to our friendship, we've successfully done many trips, which is just the proof of how quality our friendship is, right?
They do, and they take good pictures on their trips. I follow y'all on Instagram and I'm like, damn, they have a good caption and everything. And like the lighting, who gets good lighting in like a dark, shady restaurant? But okay. Yeah, so their friendship is solid for that. But still, I mean, you gotta like somebody at some point is like, all right, we got to get together and work on like Yensol, not just this great trip we had planned. So how is that? What's that like? Like, what are the benefits and challenges?
I'll start with that first one. And you're right. There is the part of, because we're really good friends, it's really easy to talk and it's really easy to get way too casual. And obviously that's kind of one of the risks associated with working with your friends. A meeting can go off the rails pretty easily because we're so used to that. We're so used to kind of just kicking back and talking about whatever. So it can sometimes be a little harder to really reinforce that. Let's stick to the script of the meeting. Let's really stay on course here. That's kind of the risk there, but it's also a great benefit to really know who you're working with and know their strengths, right? So I know Boyega knows me, and Mark as well, right? And I know Boyega is going to be more like the person to talk to people and be really influential and be able to kind of talk about what Yensol is and convince people to love the idea and fall in love with it and fall in love with the company. And so knowing that about him, I'd way more likely choose him to talk to somebody about Yensol than for myself, right? And obviously they know me to be a tech person, so it kind of fits in there. So I think knowing your strengths and weaknesses really helps out a lot. And that's kind of the benefit for being friends that work together.
Yeah, and I agree. And I had the point that I heard this quote from someone. They said, if you're going to go into business with someone, they need to be able to show up to your kid's 10-year-old birthday party.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was probably the most real quote ever. I can't get into business ever with everybody. I don't trust a lot of people. Les and Mark were both, groomsmen at my wedding, right? So they're some of my closest friends on earth. And Les is right. Like, we know each other so well. We know our strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes, that has its downfalls because, sometimes it's hard having hard conversations, or sometimes, business meetings do go off the rails because we're talking about, what we did over the weekend or whatever it may be. But I think one of the things that I'm most excited about to go into business with just kind of these two incredible people is I know the culture that we're going to set as a company. Like, I know the values that we all stand on in our own personal lives, and then the values that keep our friendship together. And I think in a company environment, that's going to be incredible, while still being mindful of the fact that because we're super close friends, we have to be mindful that we don't, create a company culture where people are afraid to talk to us. People are afraid, they think that it's hard to talk to the founding team because we're so close friends. And I think just the fact that we are aware and thoughtful and having those conversations, even now when it's just the three of us, I'm just, I have no qualms or doubts about going to business with these guys. And, there's literally no way that they're not going to be at Amari's first birthday or 10th birthday. Like, it's just, it's going to happen. So
that is love. That's such a beautiful life. Woo, woo, woo moment. Les, do you have the single person's version of that? My bad. I maybe shouldn't have put you on the spot. I could give the single person's version of that. Because I was like, well, some of us don't have kids. I told y'all all I have is a cactus plant. But maybe if it's someone who consistently shows up to all 4 events for you plan for your birthday, because single people will have brunch, dinner, a day party, I don't know, a boat trip. Like, they'll do a lot because they're like, what else I got to do with, like, it's just me. So
I want to first say that I'm not single, so I have a girlfriend that I live with, and so we're
going to edit all of that out of this. So I didn't put you on the spot. We're going to edit all of that out. Yeah, this is going to be the sign for my editor. Stop. What is that? We're going to edit that out. And if it doesn't get edited out, it'll just be a great moment to look back later and say, wow, she really tried that. Okay.
No, yeah, but
that's funny.
I mean, I think it's still different because I don't have any children, right? Boyega has a newborn, which obviously requires a lot of attention, and he's juggling more than I have to juggle. You know what I mean? So he has to kind of weigh that against prioritizing Yentl amongst other things he has going on. So, I mean, it still works out. And I think that, really, like a couple of weeks ago, me and my girlfriend traveled to GC and hung out with Mark, and me and Mark were like, yeah, we can't make it a meeting. We're actually out and about right now. So that's kind of just the lifestyle of someone with maybe fewer responsibilities, because my girlfriend was there partying with me as well. So yeah, it is different. It is different for sure. So I can still say that it's, different responsibilities there, even though I'm not, single. So.
And thank you for rolling with the punches, especially when I just put my entire foot in my mouth.
No,
that's why I keep pedicure toes. I'm ready. Okay, so thank you both. The next question for you all: walk the listeners through this process. So from the day that, in my mind, this is how this started. Please correct me, because I'm sure I just created this third story in my mind. Y'all were all hanging out one day. I don't know. You could have been doing anything, just living your lives and being carefree and happy. And someone was like, what would be really great if I could just be able to find X, whatever. Y'all were planning a trip, and it was like, ooh, we need some kind of spreadsheet. Because for those of us who love spreadsheets, I need some kind of spreadsheet to plan it. And yet the next day you didn't let go of that idea, and no one teased you for bringing it back up. Like, remember that time I said that? I was serious. And I'm not just trying to make a joke last for a few weeks. I really want to do something with this. So yeah, and then it just continued to grow. So walk us through that process, everything from who had the idea, how did you all really go from just the thought to let's put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, and then actually having to build it, write code and get it tested and then launch it. All of these were small steps that at any point could have just shut this down. So yeah, how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll start it, and then I think once we get into the tech, I'll hand it over to you, Les. So the idea, I love the story that you shared. Unfortunately, that's not how it happened, but there are parts of it that's very similar. So, ironically, the idea came in 2019. I was actually hanging out with my sister at my mom's house in Virginia, and we were just kind of chatting. And she was like, you should create a guide for this. I can't remember what we were talking about, but she was like, you should create a guide for people on how to do this. And for context, I live my life in spreadsheets. I built a spreadsheet for everything. So for our travel trips, I do have a spreadsheet for that. Like I have everything kind of built out, laid out, how much each person owes, whatever. So, she said it, and then I sat there and I said, well, yeah, but then I got to create a website, and then I got to do SEO, and then I got to drive traffic to my website, and then I got to do a blog. I'm not doing all that. And so, the weird way that my mind works, and 2 hours later, my eyes start darting and I'm like, the wheels are spinning, and I'm just like, but what if there was a place where I could, similar to like a YouTube, upload a spreadsheet that I have, and sell it for a couple bucks and make money like it's Etsy. That's kind of interesting. So then like my mind keeps turning and turning and turning and turning, right? So, being blessed with Les being in my network and such a close friend, and him being the smartest tech person I know, call Les. Hey, Les, I got an idea. Boom, boom. Talk to Les about it. He's like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, oh, that sounds, that's kind of interesting. And at that time, I'm thinking this is probably Les like letting me down softly, because Les has the wait list of people that want people to build stuff for him. Like Les is literally that guy that did people's homework in college. Okay, let's just be honest.
So Les is more.
He didn't really. Yeah. To be honest, he did not do it. UVA honor system. Please don't take it.
No, he was never.
He did not. He didn't do anybody's homework.
He tutored because he was able to. That's it. He was just a really efficient tutor.
Exactly. So, so I mentioned the last, let's like a cool idea, and then 2020 happened. The pandemic happens. Everything kind of shuts down. I was a management consultant, so I was traveling all the time. So it wasn't like I had a bunch of time to work on it. But when I was on planes, I got really, really into it. So I was like jotting down my ideas, and I had like an Apple Notes where I was just kind of typing all this stuff. And I remember, I think a couple months into the pandemic, I think I hit you up, Les, and was like, are you having a mid-career crisis like I am? Because I feel like we should really think about this thing. And, late 2020, we start working on it. I would say early 2021 is where we really went hard and created a timeline. And I think that's probably where I'll hand it over to Les to kind of talk through kind of the build process.
That was a nice layup. That was a nice handoff.
It was very beautiful. So I'm going to pick that up from that phone call, kind of like just getting into the pandemic and kind of like that mid-career crisis concept. And I think that's kind of a crucial detail to the story, because we had that conversation and we both were thinking look, you know what, if we see ourselves 10 years from now, we want to have something of our own, at some point we have to take that jump. We have to really invest that time, take that risk. So that kind of conversation sort of sparked that interest and drive. At least that's what, for me, I remember that being a conversation where it was like, okay, let's get serious about this. So from there, we started having conversations and planning out the idea, talking about it at a high level, and then starting talking more about specific details, thinking about long-term goals, short-term goals, getting some kind of MVP out there. And we started cranking, that's, me as a sole developer, this minute started working, right? I started making things, sending it his way, us talking through it. So we kind of went through a few iterations, and, we talked about it as a group, we got Mark in it, and we just started talking about ideas. We just kind of wanted to imagine, what would we want from this product? Let's see if we can make that, And before we wanted to launch it, we wanted to make sure we had the most people's opinions. So we had to sort of get like a beta testing period going. So we pulled in some friends and family to hopefully, in my opinion, was like, hey, critique it, all the way down, but don't feel bad about any negative feedback. That's what we need. We want to hear that. So the goal was to try to get anybody's dissenting opinions to help maybe create different ideas and incorporate into the product to make it better, polish it. I'm not really here to be getting compliments about it. I want to know why it's not good. Well, how can it be better? Help us make it better. So I think that really helped us to really iron out the issues we had at that time. And really it's a journey, right? And just like the wealth journey, this building this product is going to be a journey, and we're at a point where we can release it, but it's still going to grow and we're going to still evolve. But yeah, I think that's kind of the story of how we got up to the actual release of the product. I can go for days about technical details, but I think that's like summary of how it got out.
That's all you need for now.
And the one thing that I'd probably jump in and just really highlight what I said, we used our network, right? Like, we talked to friends and family. We did a couple rounds. We did alpha testing with friends and family. And then in one of these meetings, Les, Mark, and I just said, all right, you need to give me 25 people that would be good testers for the site. We made a list. We sent out this email. We asked people to do it and really pressure test the idea and really make sure that we weren't putting trash out there. Like that was kind of the main thing. And is it functioning? Is this intuitive? We got really good feedback. We also got really, really good I don't want to say criticisms, but critical feedback of like, this isn't intuitive. This doesn't make sense. Put that into play, and now it's out there, and we're excited to grow it and scale it and evolve it as our customers let us know what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly.
So I'm glad y'all are open to the feedback, and yet at the same time, like, we're at a place where we can start. We can get something out there. For the entrepreneurs, that is, I like to say perfection is the enemy of progress, because you get kind of trapped in this cycle of everything has to be together. Like, I will openly admit, and for those of y'all in the audience, I know you're looking like, now she does not put out a video every 2 or 3 weeks. I'm gonna enjoy my life. That's going so these videos y'all are gonna get these videos. I smooth will do some steady content on Instagram, and then I caught COVID and I was like, y'all will see me when you see me. I can't force it. But it's being accepting of getting things out there and knowing that people want it and people will consume it. And then at the same time being flexible to like hearing the feedback and growing. Because I definitely have had people slide in my DMs like, good sis, this is what you can do differently. And I welcome that. I appreciate it, unless you're a hater and I'm just gonna go ahead and block you. Most of the time it comes from a place of love, just like, hey, this is an idea. So it's great to be open to that iterative feedback. So we are going to do some rapid questions real quick, just basic questions. How much does it cost? It's 3 questions, I should say. How much does it cost to, like, on average, to download, purchase a template? How much will you get paid? And because my followers are all about getting that money. And then, like, how long does that payout process take? So those are the 3 like quick questions.
Got it. So I'll try to answer them really quickly. So if you're a contributor, so you upload something to the platform, you set your own price, right? So we're not going to tell you got to do it for a certain price. You can make it free because you just want to help people. Or, you could set $1, $50, $100, depending on your hustle and how valuable you think your content or product is. We take a small commission just because it's a marketplace. That's kind of how marketplaces work. But at the same time, one of the big things is fairness. For us, that's one of our big value propositions, our kind of value systems. And so the more you sell on Yensel, the smaller the commission fee is, right? So we really do want to make sure that there's a fair transaction of value. So you don't have any customers, we're providing you the customers, but if you're selling 1 million units, you're giving us more value, and therefore you deserve a smaller commission. So we're trying to make it much more affordable for folks. And sorry, there was the 3rd question.
On mute. How long does it take to get paid out?
So the payout, last one, I forget where we landed on this, so I'm gonna let you answer that one.
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. It's a little complicated. So the main point to say is that once you accrue at least $25 in your account, you can do a payout, and that takes like 1 to 2 business days. Now, we use a very well-known, established, secure company called Stripe to manage this process. Yeah, you probably heard of Stripe. So we don't actually hold anybody's credit card or banking information personally. We more so act as a liaison to Stripe, who actually handles these things. So they have the system, the security to really handle people's finances, right? So everyone trusts them, and we rely on them to provide the functionality. So technically, it's Stripe paying the users out, and depending on the bank, really what the time frame will be, but usually it's like 1 to 2 business days.
Got it. And I appreciate you plugging Stripe, because for those of you all who have been listening, the My Wealth Journeyers, y'all know I've been talking about Stripe. They are the biggest right now. They are highest so they're pre-IPO. They will be going public at some point. They've been holding out since like the beginning of the pandemic, but they have the one of the largest, if not the largest, valuations in a tech company, and quite possibly like an S&P overall in a long time, if not ever. The Stripe is not something to play with. It's like 97% of online retailers use them. They are very secure. If there's any way somebody who knows something about getting some Stripe stock, tell them to come talk to me. I got some things we can talk about. I could put them on the spotlight. But Stripe is good. Okay, we are going to pause a commercial break. Picture the sponsor is going to come in right now. We'll be back in just a second, you all, with the final few questions and to wrap up.
Nothing was nothing until it was something. It all begins with creating a brand voice.
How it looks, how it talks.
In this case, it's nothing, so it doesn't talk a lot.
The user interface is even more important here because there's nothing to buy.
Search engine optimization was a challenge. People aren't usually looking for nothing, but we did it.
Then, nothing really took off. Nothing?
Nothing. Nichts 没有。大家好，今天我推荐 nothing。没 nothing。没有 nothing 啊。
没有啊。Let me get this straight. Now I gotta buy nothing?
Welcome back from the commercial break. I hope you go and support our sponsors and or had a little stretch break in between the time. So we are back. We are still here with 2/3 of the founders of Yensel. We have Boyega and Les, and of course, I'm your Lady Luck, but this isn't Vegas, so I'm just really giving you wisdom and knowledge on money. Jay Stevens here of My Wealth Journey. So getting back into the questions, earlier we talked about your whole startup process and how you all became friends and were able to navigate the business. Now let's get a little bit more into the technical aspect of Yensel. And don't worry, this is not going to just be the CTO only kind of questions. How do you validate the template? So let's say somebody just throws some straight garbage and trash up there. How do you validate that? Like YouTube had, you mentioned you're kind of a YouTube concept of people can upload stuff. But YouTube will pull stuff down. Shout out to Meta, my employer at the moment, and for longer, I'm sure. They pull stuff down if they're like, this is not right, it's a violation. So how do you do that? Or is it a safe space now? You don't have to worry about that.
That's a great question. I'll take that one. I want to describe kind of what it is that we do and what it is that we don't do. So what we do have is an automated service that will scan the file they provided for viruses, and it will automatically open that file and attempt to take pictures for the contribution's online presence, basically. So we can verify that it is a file and it is a valid file. We can't verify the quality of said file. If someone tells you, hey, this is the best financial document ever, we can verify it's a document. We can't verify it's the best financial document. What we do, we create a marketplace that allows for the best content to float to the top, basically, right? So we would think that the content that's the best will have the best reviews, more downloads. So we create an environment where the best content can flourish, which is why we want users to come to make sure that they can provide these reviews and download this content and make it easier for them to find the items that are floating to the top. So no, we don't really have a way of like, meticulously analyzing a document ourselves manually. We want to automate things as much as possible to make things scalable. That's the way we handle it.
That's cool. And y'all heard.
I will throw this out there, and please don't kill me, because I know that it's more pressure on you. We do have plans in the future and a vision to try to incorporate people's qualifications. So if you're a mental health professional and you have certifications, it rightfully so, your products should float to the top of that category. And so that is one thing that we want to incorporate, where a lot of the people that we're targeting are professionals that have skill sets and have degrees and have certifications. We want to incorporate that into our algorithm so that you are getting personal finance spreadsheets from personal finance professionals, right? So that is something that we're working on.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sorry, I missed that piece. That's something we plan on doing. And it should also help that if a person, basically if an account is known for creating a lot of good content, that also will help them for floating to the top, right? So there's all kinds of criteria that can help us rank the content, but all these things are going to be automated. And this algorithm will change over time, right? Just like the services we use now, Google's algorithm changes all the time. And to compete with all the SEO folks who want to game the system, these things are going to be constantly changing.
The algorithms be algorithming. That's what I say.
They do. I can't remember that, right?
So the users do get to rank it. That's also part of it. It's not like just anybody can throw something up there. Or for that matter, it's not like someone can steal, a well-known template or something. Like perhaps there's a project management guide. Someone can't take the PMBOK book, that's like the standard you offer, the PMP certification, and then upload it and think no one's going to notice that plagiarism. Like this is not Wikipedia. These are professionals.
We do, yeah, and we do have mechanisms. If especially, and you bring up a very good point around copyright, right? If at some point someone sees something that they own or they don't have the true rights to, because when you sign up, you claim and agree that you are only going to upload content you have full rights to. If you don't, there's a process for you to kind of flag that. We would take it down and we, address it immediately. So.
Okay, that was our tech talk moment of the whole conversation. Just a few more questions. So Boyega, you got into this a little bit earlier. Like this is something that it's going to take off, and I do believe in y'all. I think this is so dope. I can't wait to when you all continue to get bigger and bigger. And I do this as a throwback Thursday. Like I knew him when, so I knew the back in the day. I'm rooting for you. So where do you see this going? Like, what does it look like? You've mentioned some of the capabilities that you plan to add, but what else do you want to do? Like, or is there a point where if somebody gave you a cash offer and you all said we can walk away and we'll sell this? And maybe I don't know if I say maybe that's the question you all want to have offline if you have not discussed that before. In which case we can just skip right past it. But if you have,
it all depends on the number. It all depends on. No, I'm joking. I mean, I think there's, there's as an entrepreneur, you're constantly looking and kind of weighing pros and cons. And if someone wants to come on board and say, hey, this is a great idea, we want to pay you for it, it's worth the conversation. Would we sell? Who knows? I would say I'm very, very, and I know Les is, I know Mark is as well, we're very passionate about this idea. I'll say this on record, this is probably the craziest thing you'll hear me say. Like, I genuinely think that this is going to be one of the anchoring technologies in the future. I think when you look at the way that the workplace is moving, over 50% of Gen Z freelance, right? You see websites like Fiverr, you see websites like Freelancer. People are looking for side hustles. People are trying to work more creatively. And I think the pandemic has exploded that. And so the natural evolution is for people to try to figure out how to not trade their time for money. And not everybody wants the course. You know what I'm saying? Like some people just want a PDF document. Some people just want an Excel file. And so I think that, we're bringing something to market that I think is really going to help people. And I think it also gives people that want to be a part of this creator economy, but don't necessarily see themselves being in front of the camera on YouTube or posting pictures on Instagram. They may just be accountants. They may just be travel bloggers and trying to figure out how to, provide that value to other people. I love, my brother said, you've found a way to make doing people a solid profitable. And I really believe that that's what we've done. And so, and with that said, it'll be very, very hard for me to feel like I want to sell this this early, because we do have a vision of what this could mean and what this could do for professionals like ourselves, but more importantly, people coming up and kind of entering this new workforce and this new kind of landscape of the world.
I'm here for it. Don't sell out. Let these people be angel investors. For those of y'all that got the seed money, I know you're in the audience because y'all ask questions about what I'm recommending for you to invest in. And although I always have the disclaimer, the information presented in this video is just for educational purposes only. This is not true investment recommendations. You should always talk to your financial advisor before making those investment decisions. Full disclaimer out there. But I'm just saying, if you're looking for something to invest in, this is something that's going somewhere. But again, we do not give investment recommendations. This is not a certified financial planning company. I'm not going to Loyalty.
I can see the text in bold and like
yes,
flashing.
I put it. You should see how many times I write it, how many times I say it. It's in my decks. Like, I don't have time to catch any smoke off of anybody trying to take me to court. Like, I lost money. That was on you, boo. I never clicked the button that said buy. You made that decision. But I encourage you to look at good options to diversify your portfolio. Okay. So basic question. How did you come up with the name Yenso? Because for me, the Japanese background in finance, I'm like yen, money, and then pencil. So that's what I'm thinking, like yen, the currency, and a writing mechanism. But I could be completely wrong. So where did you get the name Yenso?
So it's funny. So my wife is in brand management and advertising. So I joke with her and say I need to come up with some like grand, sexy story for how we came up with the name. But I believe in transparency, and honestly, the site's about guides and templates. Mm-hmm. And so, I was kind of looking for something that embodied that and some kind of, synonyms. And so I came with stencil, and then I ran through the alphabet of like what stuck, and then Yenso was like, that's kind of interesting. I looked, it was available. And then like stencil, it was just kind of like everything kind of clicked together. And so, it's not a grand romantic story, but that's actually how the name came. Good story.
No, stick
now,
with it.
5-10 years from now, we might create some kind of PR, story about how, it came and was
this video will be out there by then. You don't want people to be like,
me and Les will be brainstorming and stuff, and someone's going to find this video and going to be like, he's lying, but
yeah, this video will have views by then. It will have views. People gonna be like, no, good and well, this man didn't he wants me to believe him when he says put this template up here. But that's the good thing about that though. What'd you say?
I was gonna say the good thing about that though is it's a new word that is ours, right? So
yeah, like how Google
can own
a word.
Exactly. We're gonna give power and meaning to that word.
Y'all will be Uber, you will be McDonald's, you will be synonymous with whatever the action is. Like, man, you need to just go ahead and Yenso that. Get it on a shirt. Get it on a shirt. Get it on a mug. You just Yenso it. Just Yenso it. Go ahead. Yes. I'm Yensoing today. I'm trying to make this money.
This podcast is not in any form financial advice, but Yenso is a good thing to bet on. But it is not a podcast about financial.
It is not, because I am not going to go to jail for anybody, and I'm not going to court for it. Okay, so we want to inspire and motivate others. For people who want to do this, people who want to in some way have a startup, in some way create a tech company, just do something besides, it's great whatever your hustle is. Some people, this tech isn't their thing, but if they want to do that, just one piece of advice from either or both of you of things to expect during that journey, or things to consider, like how to navigate it.
I would You want to jump in first, Boyega?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I would say prepare. I mean, we glorify the idea of, I use my bottom dollar. I slept in my car. And yes, entrepreneurship is very risky and it takes a lot in a kind of, sorry if you hear my son screaming like a maniac in the background. It takes a lot and it's not easy. But at the same time, kind of as I alluded to earlier, I've spent the last 10 years working my butt off, and probably the better half of the last year and a half preparing for this risk. And so some would say, hey, you have a backup plan. So, are you really all in? I would just say, I'm my mother's son. And I'm going to make sure that my family is going to be taken care of no matter what decision I make. And so I would just say, prepare, think about what you're really afraid of, and then work backwards on what you need to do to mitigate that risk before you take that leap.
Yeah, so to balance and or contrast that a little bit, my advice would really just to be to do it, like Nike, just do it. And, I feel like we kind of talked earlier about sort of the idea of perfection being the enemy of progress. And I think that concept sort of applies here a little bit because, if I think about this in terms of the MVP we wanted to go for, we could have waited longer and polished it more and made it even better. But at some point, you do have to launch. And there's a common belief that if the first thing you release is something you really love and don't dislike a part of it, then you waited too long. You held on to it too long, and you should have gotten out there, learned what to do next, adapted to what you find out as you grow. And that's the part of entrepreneurship, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's going to be, don't be afraid to fail, and learn from your mistakes, pick yourself up and just go, yeah.
I celebrate and support that. And have a good time with your friends along the way.
100%.
I like it. Okay, so you gave advice. You talked about your journey. You told people how they can make money. And as a matter of fact, again, because this all is the gig economy, they told you how to get involved in a startup, but you really could go to Yentl today and start making some money. Once you get $25, that's when you get paid out, just in case you were not listening to that part of the video.
Yeah, add something valuable. Make money and Stripe will send you a check. We won't send you a check. Stripe will send you a check.
I need to put my budget template on there. I'm like, I could be doing something with this by now. I have it on my website, but I was like, let's put that on there.
Also, I have to plug, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When you sign up, you get a handful of free credits, commission-free credits when you join. So your first, let's keep me honest, your first 25 sales, we don't take a commission. You get 100% of the profit. So that's our way of trying to make sure that we give you quick wins and we deliver value as you embark on this.
Y'all really have thought this through. I mean, of course you would have, but that's a great way to incentivize people to get in there. You get all of it. Tell your friends to go download it. Stop giving everything away for free. I was about to say an old saying, who's going to buy the milk, or who's going to buy the cow? Who's buying the cow when you give away the milk for free? But that actually isn't about templates. That's about other things in life. But it can apply in this case. So I like y'all was smiling because that's what we're going to end this on. We like to end with some Black boy joy. What makes you smile besides being on a fun podcast?
I'll let you go.
My answer to this is something I try to do once every week is meet with some other Black people who are looking to get into the tech industry, and we'll just meet and talk for an hour about any questions they have about getting that first tech job, or questions about how to make an app or how to set up a website. Right now, we're actually working on the process for creating an app, and it's a lot of fun. It's mostly laughing and just jokes and talking about the interview process that they've gone through, what's gone right, what's gone wrong. That's a lot of fun. It really feels good. A lot of people that I've met in that have gotten jobs, and that feels incredible, right? And they can talk to me and reach out to me and say, hey, look, I have this problem at work, how to deal with this or whatever. And it feels really good to do that. And so I really enjoy that part of the week.
That's good. And it's giving back.
Yeah.
I'll say two things. One is my son. I mean, he's getting to that age where he can intentionally smile, and that's just incredible. My wife and I just like, he's smiling at me, right? So that absolutely makes me smile. I would say the other thing is, I apologize for the plug. I also have a podcast. It's the Be Helpful Podcast. It's about small business ownership and entrepreneurship. And these conversations are incredible, and I really enjoy them. So every time we talk about pursuing what you love, pursuing your passion, find what gives you energy. Every time I interview somebody and every time I have a conversation about entrepreneurship, it brings smile and energy to my life. So I find what you love talking about and figure out a way to get involved and do it. So
yes, and don't apologize for plugging. So for that matter, Les, did you want to plug the name of your group? Yeah, it's optional, of course. But Boyega, of course, plug the name of your podcast and where people can listen, download, stream.
It's the Be Helpful Podcast. It's streaming wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also on YouTube. And I'm going to be very presumptuous and say that Jay will be on it in the near future.
Look at me. I feel good posture because I feel important right now. Thank you.
So I actually don't have a name to plug because
I am going to stop putting you on the spot. You're going to be like, I'm never coming back to do another episode. You don't put me on the spot 3 times with loud and wrong questions. I am going to.
Not at all. It's actually a great question, and maybe I should have a name to plug, but the situation came to be because I was a part of an organization that no longer is an organization. Mm-hmm. And so some of those folks from that organization remained and just reached out to me specifically, and we started to do our own thing, but haven't given it a real name and haven't really created an organization around it. So I don't really have, a legitimate name to plug, unfortunately, but people are welcome to reach out to me, and I can see if I can find a way to get people involved in the same meetings potentially. So
perfect. And so look, I'm like, call it less is more, because that's what I said earlier, but that actually makes it seem like it's a fan club for you and it's really about the group. So the collective, right, I'll call it that. But it is a good plug to get us into that very last thing that I want to make sure you all have time for. Letting people know where they can find you. So whatever the socials are, the website, if you have anything coming up that you want people to be plugged into, let them know. This is your time.
I would say the big thing is, sorry, Les.
No, go ahead. You got
it. So I would say the big thing is just go to Yensel, sign up, find things that are helpful to you. If you have some value or some templates or guides or just a hobby or a blog that you want to kind of throw something out there and see what happens, sign up, become a contributor. As I mentioned, you'll get some free credits to try it out. And then also, if you are someone who's been a part of this gig economy and you've got products and you've been doing this, and Yensel is kind of a new platform to you, we encourage you to apply to be a part of our new ambassador program that we just released. So you get a ton of rewards, including up to 1,200 commission-free credits. So that's kind of a big deal. You can learn more about that at Yensel.com Yensel.com/ambassadors. So that's how you can find us. We're also on Instagram, Yensel_Inc. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I have nothing to add to that. That's all I was going to do is just plug Yensel and encourage folks to join Yensel. So
I love it. Thank you all for being guests today on the Everybody Knows Somebody Who Knows Somebody Who Knows Something About It segment of My Wealth Journey, because we're all just trying to be, rich like our melanin, and all trying to flourish out here, have clear skin, have good lives, spend time with loved ones. So thank you so much. I know you've helped people in the audience. I know you've helped me. I love it. And like I said, I can't wait to post this later and say, I knew him when, like, look at him. And see all the seed money that comes your way, all the people that flood, your website to upload templates and to purchase templates. I love it. Thank you again. And
thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
This was incredible. Thank you so much.